Brian Windhorst joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, fresh off a remarkable performance by Kevin Durant and the rest of the Warriors, like Iguodala and Steve Kerr. Having Iguodala in that game when he looked like half an Iguodala, that was remarkable stuff last night. Brian here on the show. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Great story today that you wrote about Durant joining the Warriors to finally beat LeBron, and now it's LeBron's move. What made you think about that after last night's game?
Well, I mean, I've obviously covered. They played 33 times. I've probably been at, 25 of them. And what's always been remarkable about their matchups is how even they are. I mean, and the stats are crazy. They average 33 games now. So we're not talking a small sample size. We're talking basically half a season. They average the exact same amount of points. They average the exact same shooting percentage. They have virtually the same rebounding. But when Durant was in Oklahoma City, he was 4-17 against LeBron. And since Durant went to Golden State, he's 10-2. The performances are not different. They're exactly the same. It is all about the circumstances surrounding them. And so basically LeBron, a guy who virtually never gets outmaneuvered, maybe in the short run, but in the long run, LeBron does a lot of outmaneuvering, has been outmaneuvered here by Durant. And now you got to wonder what LeBron's going to do to try to flip it back, or if he can flip it back, because Durant has got him here. LeBron owned him for 9 years. Durant has flipped it, and these last 2 years he's made up a lot of ground.
So then the question is how does LeBron flip the script? Does he stay put and try and bring more to where he currently is, or decides to go and join another situation and create it a la Miami, or create it in a different spot in a different situation by joining a young and upcoming team? Brian, what do you think?
I don't know. You could bring on 15 people. You could bring on players. You could bring on executives. You could bring on media members who analyze the situation. As far as where I look, there isn't a perfect scenario. Any choice that he makes today, and I always have to preface that because the NBA changes every 15 minutes. We just had a replacement of executive 15 minutes ago.
Yep.
The NBA changes every 15 minutes. But today, I don't see the option that he has where he doesn't make some sort of significant compromise, whether it's conference, family considerations, talent considerations, leaving home, staying home. All he has are choices with significant compromises right now. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and he doesn't either. Trust me on this. He doesn't know what he's going to do.
And the reason why is because he's just been focused on basketball. I mean, none of it really dawns on him in a quiet moment. No, because I mean, we're already turned the page as a members of the media. I know, because it's an 0-3 hole in which he's in, Brian.
Of course, he's thought about it, Rich. But go get 50. Go get 300 people.
Yeah.
Even if he sat there and thought about it every day for the last month, the situation is not going to change. He has a whole bunch of options. None of them are great. I mean, I just said last night, I'm saying it jokingly. I want to make that 100% clear. I'm joking. Got that? Joking.
Nice.
I was like, he ought to call up Durant and see what he's doing in free agency, because I don't see a situation right now that completely makes this an instantaneous reversal like Durant executed 2 years ago, and that's what he's going to figure out over the next 3-4 weeks. And I agree with you, Rich. LeBron's free agency started last night.
Yep. Brian Windhorst of ESPN joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So you made reference to the fact that the Sixers and Brian Colangelo are parting ways. Your colleague Woj says it's going to be termed as a resignation. Do you believe it's David Griffin's job, essentially, based on everything, that the Sixers need a general manager? He's got experience. He's got experience with the ring. He's got experience with winning a ring with LeBron. Is that a no-brainer, Brian?
Not necessarily. I think, I have a personal relationship with David. I think he's really smart. I think he's a really good GM. By the way, LeBron doesn't really care who the general manager is. I mean, LeBron cares who the players are. And David will be the first to tell you. LeBron did not come to Cleveland because of David Griffin. LeBron wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, if David Griffin got hired in the minor league team in Minot, South Dakota, he wouldn't. What's on like LeBron's like, I got to be with David Griffin. But I mean, David Griffin is a competent executive who has who has shown he knows how to build a champion team around LeBron, and that would make him a pretty good resume spot for him. But I'm just going to say to you, the number one thing for LeBron when it comes to choosing his next team is competition to win a championship. And I'm going to tell you that number 2 and maybe even 1A is going to be ownership. What is his relationship with ownership? How does he feel about the ownership? How does he feel about the ownership's commitment? When LeBron came back to Cleveland, he did not meet with David Griffin. He met with Dan Gilbert. When he meets to make a decision, whether it's to stay in Cleveland or go elsewhere, it's going to be with ownership. Ownership is incredibly important. General managers and coaches and players change. Owners do not change. That is very important to LeBron. And I don't know on the pie chart whether it's worth 20% or 5% or 96%. I don't know where it is, but I know that it matters. And Sixers ownership is and how they approach LeBron when the time comes is going to be just as important as who is in that general manager chair.
So, best you can tell, since we're on the subject here, and ownership's not changing, which ownership group do you think best fits LeBron and vice versa, knowing the landscape as you do?
I don't know.
It's amazing.
I don't know, Rich. I mean, I know you're asking a fair question.
I know. And your point is that so the metrics are LeBron's, and he's figuring out what they are, and until he sits face to face with these people, we have no earthly idea how he's going to think about it.
My point is, I think it's very easy to jump to a conclusion. Oh, David Griffin, and then LeBron's going to come 5 minutes later.
But we want to connect dots, Brian. That's what we do in the business, and we want it fast.
So it's so much more complex than that. I do think whether it's David Griffin or anybody else, one of the things that whoever retains LeBron going forward is going to have to prove is that they are going to know how to competently take care of the rest of his championship window years. That's become very important to him. And, his family is going to be important too. He's got a 13-year-old son. I mean, this is something nobody's thinking about. He's got a 13-year-old son. I'm not so sure he's chomping at the bit to rip him away and take him to a city he's never been to before when he's entering high school. It was not a factor in the last 2 free agencies, but his son is going to sit with him and have a discussion about how he feels. Again, on the pie chart, can I put a percentage on it? No, I can't, but I'm telling you that's there. I just think it's going to be – this is very difficult to handicap, and there's going to be a whole lot of people out there in the next few days or few weeks who are going to pound their chest and say they know what he's going to do and what he's going to do, and they may end up being right, but they only be right because they guessed right.
Couple more minutes left with Brian Windhorst here, so let's not give short shrift to the dynastic team that is going to win 3 and 4 years and looks so terrific and is deep. They're deep. It's not just the Hamptons 5 or whatever you want to call them. It's also a coach that is burnishing a Hall of Fame resume in his own right, and some other guys who are stepping up and making big plays. I give you the floor on the Golden State Warriors and what you think they mean to the NBA, and if you think it is a good thing what we're seeing play out with Golden State.
For most of the year, Rich, I didn't think they looked to be that deep. Iguodala was terrible for a lot of the year. Zaza Pachulia became unplayable. Patrick McCaw, a guy that they were really counting on to be a rotation player, had a terrible injury and has not been able to play. Nick Young was a signing that did not bear fruit. There were individual moments where it looked okay, but generally it did not bear fruit. What they have is they have gamers. Sean Livingston is a gamer amongst gamers, and Andre Iguodala is one of the most competitive, smartest, and most valuable players to have in a playoff game I've ever seen. And so they have guys who step up. And then they have JaVale McGee. I mean, JaVale McGee has been terrific these last 2 games. This guy was a laughingstock in the league. He's still a laughingstock in the league at times. But Steve Kerr put him in the right position, and he executed. And so what makes it, they're a championship dynasty team because they have all-stars, but they have really smart players, and they trust each other, and they know how to handle their business. And Steve Kerr has a tremendous sense. He knew that JaVale McGee would work. He put him in, and it worked. But I actually think that they have some upward mobility. I think that they can do a lot better on spots 7 through 8 to 10 on their roster, and I actually, believe it or not, expect them to in the next year or two.
Brian, always enjoy our chats. That's the way I feel like I end every single one of these conversations. Really do, and look forward to it more over the next several weeks.
Thank you, Rich. Have a good day.
You got it. That's Brian Windhorst at Windhorst ESPN.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.